Sorry, Chopin. I gotta pretend that I can understand Japanese.
In 1988, a film debuted that changed anime forever.
Okay.
Set in the dystopian future of 2019, a future full of biker gangs and psychic kids, it's fitting that a film with such a stark vision of what was to come ushered in a new age for Japan's animation industry and heralded an international appeal. The West ushered in a full of biker gangs and psychic kids. It's fitting that a film with such a stark vision of what was to come ushered in a new age for Japan's animation industry and heralded an international appeal the West could never have predicted. Passed around on bootleg VHS cassettes, it left a trail of shock and awe in its wake, opening the mind of anyone who saw it and driving them to want more of this bizarre, beautiful and brilliant new style. Anime was about to explode.
Lord Pog.
It's you, but why? You just never learn, do you?
The importance of AKIRA cannot be understated, and it rarely is. In the 30 years since its release, it has been celebrated as a spectacular achievement and is considered by many to be the greatest animated feature ever made. It was instrumental in making anime the international sensation it has become today, and opened the door for countless classics to make their way overseas. But classics in any medium can often become ensnared by their own legacy. Outdated but important is all too often a turn-off when recommending films to newcomers. The landscape of anime has changed significantly in the last 3 decades. The art form is always evolving, and what was commonplace in the 80s feels positively unrecognisable today. But, having devoured the monolithic AKIRA manga, and watching and rewatching the film this last week in preparation for the video, I can safely say that AKIRA feels just as relevant, just as important, and most of all, just as enjoyable in 2018 as it did 30 long years ago, back when the 2020 Tokyo Olympics still felt like an impossible future, rather than an eerily prophetic vision. AKIRA first went to print in 1982 in Young magazine, a publication looking to plug a gap in the manga market. An anarchistic, rebellious, youthful demographic of teenagers and young adults felt underrepresented in the comics they read, and Katsuhiro Otomo, an artist who had slowly been building up a reputation in Japan for his raw, violent works, responded with AKIRA, a futuristic comic about the dystopian streets of Neo-Tokyo and the capsules who tore them up, a bawdy, violent gang of bossozoku who rode around on juiced-up motorbikes introducing the world to the business end of their lead pipes. Otomo is a visual storyteller. That seems almost redundant to say, considering he's known for his works in comics and film, but more so than any other mangaka or director I've come across, Otomo is a slave to his own artistry. You'd have to be, to tell a story like AKIRA panel by panel across more than 2,000 pages. It's in these pages that you get a sense of Otomo's masochism. In the 6 mammoth volumes released over 8 years, his intricate attention to detail and unwavering perfectionism shines never more so than in the massive, sprawling 2-page spreads that must have taken hours to create and only seconds to take in and turn the page. AKIRA might just be the greatest manga I've ever read. It's one of the few pieces of media I've ever encountered that I can say is truly epic, not only in its size, but in its scope as well, its tangled web of plots and players, interweaving over years of careful storytelling. Long before AKIRA had ever finished its original print run, it was being eyeballed for an adaptation. Considering the popularity of the manga, this didn't come as a surprise. And neither was the news that the movie would be heavily edited to fit a 2-hour runtime, losing about 4 books worth of content. What no one expected, however, was that Katsuhiro Otomo himself would insist upon directing it, that he would be the one to liberally cut hundreds and hundreds of pages of plot, or that his painstaking, detail-orientated vision would come to life to the tune of 160,000 individual cells.
160,000.
AKIRA's motion picture was quite
Jesus
unlike anything the world had ever seen, or would see again for a long time to come. There's a lot to be said for the making of AKIRA. Because much of the movie is set at night, the artist had to exclusively create 50 additional colours just to make the picture pop. Its biggest claim to fame is of course its true 24 frames per second presentation, a first in animation and a feat that we've rarely seen matched in the 30 years since. Otomo's Masochism shone once more as his team drew 24 individual pictures that come and go in the blink of an eye, whilst rival animation powerhouse Disney boasted a meagre 12 in comparison. This effect is immediately apparent upon booting up the movie for the first time. The film flows in ways you've never seen animation flow, with a fluidity of motion that is unparalleled. Add to that the spectacular physicality of AKIRA, where no action scene goes by without some weighty acrobatics to ground the film in reality, and you're left with one of the most satisfying movies in motion to date. The visual spectacle would be for naught, of course, if Otomo didn't have a story worth a damn. Luckily for everyone involved, his utterly mad vision of the future is worthy of all the effort and the legacy it left behind. AKIRA is a film about megalomania and the destruction such an obsession with power naturally brings. Everyone that steps foot in Neo-Tokyo seems to be clawing for a slice of it, and it's an ugly fight to watch. Otomo's original manga never really committed to a main character. It flirted with casting the orphan Tetsuo in a Shakespearean tragedy, as he courts a ruthlessly cruel inferiority complex, or Kei, a young woman in the resistance who is attempting to bring an order to a world that seemingly doesn't know the meaning of the word. But one character the manga doesn't really concern itself with is Kaneda, a loyal, upbeat, goofy biker gang thug who gets caught up in all the wrong scenes. He's a comic foil whose purpose is to relieve tension and shoot massive laser rifles with all the accuracy you'd expect from someone who's never picked up a laser rifle in their life. He's even completely absent from all the books, hardly any character material, you might think. But in a stroke of genius, that's the exact logic Katsuhiro Otomo bucked when setting out to adapt AKIRA to screen, and in doing so grounded the movie with a relatable protagonist.
Not that interesting though.
Turn the fucking lights off. Turn the fucking lights off.
Okay.
Hey.
Hacked. IJ Nisi, Razor Eyes, Base Spotter Guy.